Fuck, I'm so good at guitar. Hey, what's up? Welcome to the While She Texts podcast. This is episode 007. It's like James Bond. Did you get it? Yeah? Cool. Right, I'm going to start this week by saying hello to all the new people. Got quite a few new listeners this week, thanks to the band themselves and Matt both sharing the episode and details about this podcast to their Instagram pages. So thanks to those guys for doing that and getting us these new listeners. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode last week with Matt, and hopefully you've gone back and checked out some of the older episodes, checked out the Instagram page and stuff. But yeah, quick introduction. My name is James. I'm the sound engineer and tour manager for the band While She Sleeps. I also run an Instagram page called While She Texts, kind of just a behind the scenes look at the jobs, the equipment, and some stories from the band's touring crew. And along with our merchandise guy, Lacey, we're doing this podcast to kind of just recreate the coffee that we have in the morning when we're on tour. But at the moment, there is no shows, so we're just doing it over video call, catching up with some of the band, some of the crew, and discussing some of the shows that we did in January on the tour around Europe and the UK, and just getting to chat to the crew about what they get up to on a normal show day. But yeah, big thanks to everyone that listened to last week's episode. And if you shared it to your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram, big love to you guys. Just make sure you tag us in anything that you do share so we can see it and we can retweet and share to our stories and all that sort of jazz. But yeah, also a massive thank you to anyone that donated to the podcast last week. It does help out so much. None of our crew have had jobs for the past 5 or 6 months, whatever it is. So every little bit does help with all the hosting fees of putting a podcast online, and it's helping us keep caffeinated, getting coffees when we meet up to discuss future episodes. So thank you to anyone there. If you do want to help out, there is a link in our Instagram bio that just goes to a PayPal donate page. So make sure you go check that out. The Instagram is just at While She Texts, or if you just want to go there direct, it's paypal.me. So paypal.me/While She Texts. And you can donate 50p, or you can donate all the money you have in the world, and then we'd feel really bad, but it'd buy a lot of coffees, I guess. But don't do that. 50p is fine. Anyway, yeah, moving on. Let's get on with the episode, and we'll start with a couple of questions from you guys over on the Instagram page from this week.
Question 1. Who was the most irritating person on the bus last tour and why?
100%, that's got to be me and Ash. Just because we don't get to tour with each other that often, and we've done lots of different bands together. We've done Waterparks together, we've done Dodie together. My first ever tour was with Ash years ago with a pop rock band called Room 94. So we always just get really drunk when we're together and annoy people. As you probably heard in the Brussels episode, me and him just got drunk and got in Lacey's bunk with him while he was trying to sleep. So yeah, definitely me and Ash.
Question 2. How many WSS photos and videos do you store in your phone storage, and do you sort them?
Absolutely loads. So I don't know how many are sleeps, but I've got nearly 16,000 files on my phone in my cloud storage. So yeah, I don't really sort through them. If I know I want to post something on the tech page, I'll just think about when that show was in particular, and I'll just scroll back to that time. Or I've got all the sleeps videos from live shows saved into one folder with 350 videos in there, I think. So if I know I want to post a video, I've got a folder there, but all the pictures are just randomly in my camera roll with all my other pictures of different bands and stuff. So yeah, I just have to think off the top of my head when that show was and scroll to that date and try and find the picture that I'm looking for. It's an absolute mess. So I should probably sort it out while I've got all this time off and no job. So yeah.
Question 3. When in Starbucks, what is your classic order?
Grande caramel latte with soy milk and the blonde roast coffee is my normal go-to. But I think after doing this lockdown, I've actually been drinking a lot of Americanos at home. So just a shot of espresso and hot water with some milk and sugar in. So I think I might move to that because it's probably a lot healthier than the high calorific caramel syrup. So yeah, we'll see you next tour. Cool, that's it for questions this week. If you have any questions about touring or about the show in Brixton next week, then keep an eye out on the Instagram page on Wednesday, and I'll post a little questions box in the stories where you can just ask whatever you want, and hopefully I'll answer it. I'll try and remember to do it on the Wednesday this week, because last week I did forget and I ended up posting it on the Saturday. So thanks for the people who noticed and still ask questions on the Saturday. Thank you very much. But yeah, let's get on with the episode. We're going to talk about eggs. We're going to talk about coffee. We're going to talk about canals. It's Amsterdam. It's one of the best cities in the world. So just let's get into it and hope you enjoy. Yo, what's up? Welcome to the Welsh Text Podcast presents Lattes Before Load-in, episode number 7. I am joined, as always, by the man that loves t-shirts more than life, Mr. Lacey.
Hello.
And today we have another special guest for you. I'm going to apologise in advance if you can't understand him, because he is very, very Scottish. It's Nathan. How you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, man. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Not seen you in a while. How's things going with you?
Oh, great. Yeah. Just been chilling, appreciating the time off work with my wife and kids.
Nice. Been up to anything fun in lockdown, or has it just been...
just like practicing drums, gaming a lot, nothing really constructive. Just trying to behave myself and play by the lockdown rules.
Yeah.
And a month ago I started working again, so that's pretty good.
Yeah,
so,
that's great. What is it that you do? Do you want to tell the listeners?
It's like a sort of property management type thing, like Airbnbs.
Nice.
So
yeah, I guess people are...
not very exciting, but it's good. I like it. I enjoy it.
Yeah. It's good to hear that there's actually people working and actually doing stuff during all of this absolute shite, mate. So it doesn't matter what it is working.
I'd have much rather have been on tour with you guys this summer, though. That would have been way more fun.
Yeah, we would have been. Oh, it would have been a travel day today. We'd have played Slovakia yesterday, and we'd be on our way to Brutal Assault Festival today.
Dude, I had to open my calendar today to look at something for shipping out a t-shirt, and I opened it and realized we should have been on tour, and I was just like, I've got to stop fucking looking at that. I've got to stop looking at the fucking calendar app because it's so annoying.
Sorry, I should delete everything, shouldn't I? Really? I was kind of looking at it being I should be here.
Yeah.
Nope, not happening.
But yeah. Nath, it's cool to have you on because a lot of the listeners aren't going to really know what your job is because you're a bit of a luxury on certain tours, aren't you?
Yeah, a drum tech is a pretty extra thing. Don't see many of them. I've met a few.
I love that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love that. So what is your role while you're on tour? Obviously you say drum tech, but what are you looking after while you're on tour?
Well, I'm responsible for anything drum related, really. Imagine a guitar tech, but for drums. I set them up. I set them up. I make sure it all works and sounds the way that everybody wants it to sound, and I keep a close eye on everything during the show.
Cool, man.
Cool. So I guess we're here to talk about the Amsterdam show.
Fuck yeah, Amsterdam.
One of the best cities in Europe, I reckon. Everyone's favourite.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I guess we'll start with some coffee. So this day we arrived. Fine, now let's start with the venue. So anyone in the tour industry will know, they'll have played Melkweg before. If you've ever been to Amsterdam, this is a venue you play. There's 3 different rooms in there. Can't remember what the capacities are, but there's a small room, a medium room, and a large room. So everyone's gone through this venue at some point in their touring career, and it is fantastic. The venue staff are really friendly. It's in a great location as well. And everyone knows a little canal straight outside. So as you get off the bus, you are scared for your life because you're about 2 foot away from a drop into a canal, which is always fun. It's just full of floating bottles and stuff. It's like a moat around the venue.
So I won't say what band I was with because it's quite bad, but we did. Have you ever done Puckle Pop Festival?
No, I've never done that one.
No.
Right. So it's about an hour and a half outside of Amsterdam. And we did that. We did Puckle Pop. Then we had 2 days off and then we was playing Amsterdam. So we went straight to Amsterdam and had our 2 days off there. But so the band played their show, packed up the festival, and then we found a free bar on the way to the bus. So bus call got moved by 3 hours while we just raided this free bar with the intention of getting back to Amsterdam and going for a night out. So we get into Amsterdam, everyone's steaming, and the drummer is the first guy off, closely followed by me. But what the bus driver didn't say to us was anything about the canal. And the last thing that we was thinking was anything about the canal. And I watched the drummer go out the door and just like lose it completely. Like, but I grabbed him and someone grabbed me, and there was just a chain of people holding each other into the bus and holding the drummer in the bus. And I know for a fact that there's got to be hundreds of these stories of this happening. I'm sure I've heard stories of people falling in there.
It's not even like it's completely like a completely flat surface when you get out of the door, and it is like barely half a meter. It really is tight. Like, but when you see it, like you kind of understand. You get like big buses in there and stuff, and it's like a little pedestrian bit.
I bet someone's like got off or trying to get back on the bus before put the code in, and then the door like pushes open slowly.
Well, that has happened so many times when
like I've been pushed by the door.
Yeah, so when we're walking to maybe get to our bus and the other bus is parked in front of ours or whatever, and somebody's getting out of their bus as you're walking past, and the door just flies open, and you're just not ready for it. Yeah, and you got to just hop back as quickly as you can.
Sure, someone's fallen in. If you're in the touring industry and you know someone who's fallen in, let us know.
Please do, please do. I need that today.
So and it doesn't look nice either. It doesn't look like very nice water to fall.
Brown water. But yeah, they made it worse, I think, because before it used to just be a flat drop, and now they've added like that little bar at the bottom, like a little rail, and it's like half a foot off the ground, and it's just a trip hazard now.
Tripping hazard.
Yeah, so you get off the bus and then you trip over this bar and go straight into the water. So, but yeah, going off topic again. So yeah, we woke up pretty early, and I think I remember Sean had messaged the group just with eggs ? Something like that. It was like good eggs here. So we all woke up and got ready and decided to walk down to meet Sean and get some breakfast at this place and get some coffee as well. I can't remember what it was called. Do you, Lace?
No, it's just a little hole in the wall place from what I remember. I remember there just being a doorway and you walk in, a fairly small place actually. Yeah. Like quite looked like a proper family run kind of place.
Yeah. Nathan, did you come with us as well?
No, I went on a separate breakfast adventure.
You and Angela went on a separate breakfast adventure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I just had like some classic eggs, avocado on toast, and a latte. So yeah, start the day off good because it was a good day, and then back to the venue. Got inside, do the classic tour manager walk around with the promoter, pick the dressing rooms. You know, I'd been here recently with that K-pop band, The Rose, I did in November. So it kind of felt like home to me, straight to the dressing room. I knew exactly where it was. So I'd been there a month or two before, whatever it was. And picked the big dressing room for us, obviously, and moved Every Time I Die in Vain around a little bit because the promoter had put the signs up and went, are these rooms okay? And they were all the same size, so I just moved Vain and Every Time I Die down a dressing room so that we could have the one that was closest to our room as our media center / practice room. Because, why not? We're headlining for the Rockstars. And I even had a little office this day as well. So I set up my laptop and my printer in there, little production office, because I had a lot of emails to do this day. But yeah, then what, I guess? If we're talking about coffee again, there is a great little coffee machine in the hallway, in the backstage area. Yeah,
surprisingly good. As coffee machines go, that one was surprisingly good.
Because it looks like some sort of like 80s office coffee machine.
Yeah. But I feel like they use good beans in there, so that obviously makes all of the difference. Yeah. Because there's a lot of places in Amsterdam that roast great beans, so I feel like it's a locally sourced kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And as you said, this venue feels, if you're touring, this venue feels a little bit like home, really, because I can't remember the last time that I did a proper European tour that didn't go through this venue. It feels like I'm there more than I'm at home sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we played the same venue on the So What release tour the year before as well.
Yeah. And every band that I can think of that I've been to Europe with, I've been through that venue.
Yeah.
In each different room as well. Like I did the super small room with CKY, the one upstairs where the merch is right next to the women's toilet, and I've never done that one. So bad. It's a weird room. It's like a theatre room. There's like loads of bleachers that fold away. It's a strange room. I've only ever done it that once, and I'll be quite glad if I never do it there again. But the second room is quite cool there too.
Yeah, the second room's cool. I've done a show there with Waterparks before, and a great show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So yeah, we loaded all the gear in. Very helpful crew from the venue. Got all the gear through onto the stage and set up, sound checked as we normally do. Everything sounded great. And then I went to retire to my little office because the day after this show was Brixton. So I was shitting myself basically that the show wasn't going to happen. So I was just like, I've never done a show this big, like as a tour manager before. So I was just like triple checking everything. I was like on the phone to the promoter, like checking the PA company was all set to be there at 9 a.m. the next day, which obviously we'll talk about next week. But yeah, I was just sat there triple checking emails, making sure that I'd not forgotten anything. And yeah, had a shower to calm myself down a bit. But yeah, all you guys left me and you all went...
You chose not to come. We didn't leave you. You chose not to come.
Yeah, but, you know...
No, you chose not... No buts there at all. You chose not to come.
Yeah, so I was busy doing emails and everyone else in the touring party went to... Where did you go?
It's like a vegan street food place.
Yeah, it's called vegan. It's called Vegan Junk Food Bar.
Nice. Vegan junk food bar.
It looked good.
Yeah,
and it was a extremely colourful place.
It was. Yeah, they have like pink sauces and stuff that they put on their fries, and there's graffiti everywhere. It looked like the table we ate at looked like the So What backdrop.
Yeah, it was like a urban unicorn vibe.
Nice. That's pretty much exactly what it was. That is pretty much exactly what it was.
Urban unicorn.
Neon unicorns.
The food was banging. It was great.
Yeah, they always do great food there. They do them great, like fried seitan burgers and like loaded fries. And it was particularly cool this time because everyone in the touring party, bar James, was there.
Yeah, it was really nice to sit and chill out with everybody for a bit and eat some good food.
You sent me a lovely picture. Just all you guys sat at that table, smiling, being happy.
Yeah, I mean, I was smiling, but in my head I was thinking, we've got Brixton tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. It was cool to go and eat as a group. We rarely get to do that. I think we spoke several times on this podcast that we all split up generally day to day. And I mean, just having us three here now, us three all finish our jobs at different points in the day.
Yeah.
So getting together to go and eat is a very rare occasion. It just so happened that as his birthday was a reason for all of us to bust our asses a little bit harder to get everything done and get everything ready. So
yeah, 'cause I guess it was Aaron's birthday the day after, but obviously sharing your birthday with the biggest headline show your band's ever played, when everyone you're with is probably just panicking at how big this show is. Probably not the best day to celebrate it. So celebrated it the day before. I mean, it's better than his birthday last year when I thought I was going to have to stay in Dubai airport with Aaron on his 30th birthday. Or is it 20th? On whatever birthday it was. We were flying back from Japan, I think. And yeah, it was his birthday on the flight day. So his birthday was actually extra long for him. It was longer than 24 hours because we flew with the time zone. And yeah, we got to Dubai for the stop off and then to get the final flight to Heathrow, wherever we were going. And you have to go through passport control again when you get to Dubai. You have to get to like the other terminal to get your flight. And it goes through passport control. I went through first and I just started walking towards like where the food area was, just expecting everyone to come through straight behind me. And then I get a phone call when I get to the other side being like, Aaron's lost his passport.
Classic.
Like, God, here we go. So I have to walk all the way back. And he's panicking. He's like, the airport staff were useless. They were just like, don't know where it is. So he's like, he's checking through, like, he was like, I definitely had it when I put it in the tray to go through the machine. And then he came out the other side and it wasn't there. So we're trying to get people to look at the security cameras and shit like this. We're spending ages, like texting the groups, being like, everyone check your pockets. And yeah, we're there for about 40 minutes with him. I was like, right, I'm going to have to stay in Dubai airport with Az and send everyone else back on the flight until we get this sorted. And then, yeah, about 40 minutes to an hour later, Loz just texts the group going, oh, it's in my pocket.
Classic.
I was like,
no. I can just imagine the rage that built from there on.
I thought I was staying there. I was kind of up for it, to be honest. A couple of days in Dubai, yeah, it's for his birthday.
Fuck yeah, big night out.
Being wild.
Right, we're getting off topic again, boys. We always do this.
Topic.
We're classic this podcast. Nath, talk us through what a day in the life of a drum tech looks like, man. Give us from beginning to end. We just rolled up. You've just woke up in the bus. What are you doing?
I think Enzo touched on this previously. I'm going to check the group and see if James has said the venue's open yet, and take care of business. On a day like Amsterdam, don't fall in the water on my way out of the bus is always a good one.
Yeah, it'd be a horrible start to your day.
Like I said, went on my own kind of morning escapades there with some other guys from the touring party, the support bands, etc. Yeah, had a good morning before load-in with amazing Melkweg crew, which is like just as smooth as you like. It's a great load-in. It's a great venue, really efficient, nice venue. The only thing is the crazy stairs going up to the dressing rooms. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. But even then, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
But the design of everything is really cool, given that they're really limited on space, I guess. Like,
right.
I don't know. But anyway, so I get all the stuff in, and once all the gear's in the venue, so I got to kind of wait a little bit before I start setting up my stuff, because there's loads of other stuff that has to get set up on the stage. So I'll help everybody get all the lights and the cabs and whatever set up. And, once everybody's happy, I'll start setting up kit. It's worth mentioning that Matt made a fantastic drum trunk that holds pretty much the entire kit, bar the kick and the cymbals. And this got all the spares and all the mixers and all the electronic stuff in as well. It's absolutely amazing. Saves a lot of trailer space. And because before I would have loads of little cases with everything in it. So on this tour, it was amazing to just have one big box and then a couple of other things that I just, it just kept everything really organized. It was really
you're not looking around in a pile of stuff for where's my side snare? I don't know. It's lost somewhere.
And then it's sort of when there's venues that has enough space, it can double as a little workstation at the side of the stage if I need to. I can put all the spares out on it and that, and sit there and watch stuff from there. And, it's cool. I really like it. So big up Matt from building that. And also worth mentioning that Matt re-riveted that case before he played the show that day.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
I've got a video of him doing it, I think. This is the day that I did a rivet. It's the only time I've ever done one. So I went to tell him that doors were open because he was the other side of the stage. So he had to go across the stage while there were people in the room before Vane went on stage. So I went over to tell him and he was like, "Do you want to do a rivet?" I was like, "Oh, go on then." Passed me the handgun, whatever it was. And I was like, "Yep. Out. Never again."
Yeah. The worst thing in the world that honestly can fuck off.
Anyway, so I'll get the rug on the riser, which in pre-production I'll have all masked out with precise positions of where everything goes, all that stuff. Then the kit goes on, pedals go on, set up all the hardware, get all that set up to the right height and where it's going to go. Then put on the toms, red tom, floor tom, snare, side snare, and cleaning everything as I go, making sure it's in tune. And big shout out to Tama, because the kit and all the hardware that Sav uses is great. And the way that it's made makes it so much easier for setting up and packing down, because everything's memory locked. But I know memory locks and everything, but the way the quick release memory locks that are on the Tama kit work, it's great, because I just pop the legs in the tom and they're exactly the same height every day, unless somebody, so it's another thing. I tend to kind of do all this on my own. I tend to not really ask for any help. There'll always be friendly stage-hands and stuff that will always try and lend a hand, but for the most part I don't let them anywhere near any of the wing nuts.
So they don't reset it all.
Yeah, because it has happened, and it's fine, but I've got notes of everything, and this, if anybody else that's listening that wants to do drum tech stuff, I know I take notes on my phone of the heights of everything that you could think of on the kit, just in case something like that happens and I've got to readjust it. Yeah, and that's obviously going to be totally different for whoever you're working with. It's going to be completely different. So anyway, so I get the kit all set up, and once that's all good. So once the kit's set up, so today I didn't do a reskin because we had Brixton the next day, and the skins on the kit were fine. I usually do one every 3 shows, but even if I was going to do a reskin that day, I was 100% going to put fresh skins on for Brixton anyway. So it just kind of seemed like a waste. So but it did work out about every 3 shows I reskinned the toms and the snare and that. Yeah. And then once the kit's all sorted, Sav cues all the clicks and tracks for the lads. So there's a bunch of electronic stuff to set up. Also, like I said, which all comes out of that drum trunk, got a wee table that We usually like set the cymatics on. There's a couple of iPads, one with a controller for the cymatics, another iPad with a controller for the M32. Is that right?
Yeah.
M32? Yeah, the M32. And we've got a little foot switch that if you're imagining sitting at the kit, right next to the left-hand side of the hi-hat pedal, there's a little foot switch that Sav can use to like start and stop tracks, go back to the beginning, just with this one button. And then we got a mixer, we've got his ears, his backup mixer and backup ears, which is also set up on that little table, all just kind of gets taped up into one little mothership right next to the kit.
The mini.
And then I'll take the headphone out. I'll take a cable from the headphone out and patch it up into the back of his seat and sort of gaff that in there so that when he rocks up to the kit, he can just sit down, plug in, and it's all kind of good to go. And then we've got a lovely fan to keep him cool sitting there at the front of the kit.
Most important piece of that kit, I think, for Sav.
Yeah. And then I'll check that James put the mics on properly and they're not wobbly or anything like that. Tighten them up. And then hurricane-proof the kit with gaff, like things like the china, that table with all the stuff on it. I'll tape down because some risers are more stable than others, shall we say? Especially when
a little bit too much,
and especially when you're playing drums like Sav does too. Like it's there's a lot of energy, and it's the riser. The riser can take a lot of motion. So you got to just make sure that everything's taped down. It's not going to move. The cymatics isn't going to topple over and stop the show briefly.
We have had that happen before in, where were we? Hong Kong, I think. And first song in, the entire thing just wobbled and the cymatic just fell and turned off. So they just like carried on playing without it, but just disappeared. And then you have to wait 5 minutes to make sure it's all working correct. But
So once I've like hurricane-proofed the kit, put some fresh ProMark sticks on there, and then I'll get the cymbals polished up. Shout out to Music Nomad because they clean up those Zildjian cymbals very, very nice.
Yeah,
it just works really well, and it's important because it looks good in photos and stuff. And I can pretty much guarantee that I'll have to do a cymbal clean every day because some of the songs have a few cymbal grabs in them and stuff like that. So.
Get fingerprints on them all the time.
But that's just it's kind of like a standard thing. I'll be doing that every day. I'll clean up all the cymbals, make sure they're nice.
And like you said, they have to look good for pictures as well, because like obviously Sav's endorsed by Zildjian, so if Enzo can get a great picture of Sav playing the kit and the cymbals just look shiny and beautiful, that's a great like endorsement picture for him. So keeping that content rolling.
And I usually once I'm done with that, it's usually timed perfectly for beginning the sound check. And then just basically I'll probably go and grab waters or something and see if Wakey needs a hand with anything, and he usually doesn't. He's usually on top of everything he's got to do. So, and also on this last tour we had L, we had all sorts of guys kicking about to help. It was pretty smooth operation.
It's good. The A-team.
Yeah, man. And then, we'll do sound check, provided everything's cool during sound check and don't have to do anything else. Depending on the show, we'll do a strike. And at Melkweg, I believe we did do a strike.
So for anyone that doesn't know, strike just means strike the kit out of the way for the support bands. Because obviously if there's not enough space in front of our kit for Every Time I Die to have a good show, then we are very nice people and we will move our drum kit out of the way and let them go in that space, basically.
So all that stuff that I mentioned, that list of all the stuff, gets taken away. But what we'll do is we'll kind of pull it off in the sort of order that makes it a lot easier to go back onto stage. So it's not just like random bits and pieces. It like goes back on the way it came off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so certain things go to certain sides of the stage to make it easier.
And you'd be surprised like how quickly we can put it all back together again. It's very, very well practiced in doing it.
There's a few shows on this tour that we had to strike it. So
and a lot of it being so quick comes down to like little efficiencies that you've made along the way, right? Like on the mat that you put out, everything's all taped so that you know where everything goes, right? There's markers on it so that you know where each thing goes. Yeah,
well, you're absolutely right. Like, this is why we do it. So it's as much as to have the kit like exactly how, like, well, I know like from playing drums myself that the whole kit is like your instrument, everything kind of needs to be where it needs to be. It kind of feels weird if something's out of place. So as much as it is for, Sav feeling comfortable at his kit, it's like really important for striking situations where we can just get everything nailed exactly where it's supposed to be. Because he's going to sit it in sound check, and then he's not going to sit at it again until showtime. Yeah. So I'd like to say that he sits there and it's just exactly the same way. You have to ask Sav, but I'm pretty confident that he can sit there and he's happy.
It's exactly the same every day.
Yeah, well, hopefully. But yeah, and then once sound check's over, we've got a little practice kit. We're going, like James was saying earlier, on that day we had a room that I could go and set up. Yeah. And usually, if it's just one room, I'll find like a best space for it to sit in the corner or something, and so I can warm up on there before the show. And that's kind of the start of my day done until changeover.
Yeah.
So, I'll always check and just make sure that Sav's cool, doesn't need anything in the meantime. But then otherwise I'll just grab a shower, usually, if I can. And in places like Melkweg, 100% I'm going to take advantage of the showers there, because they're awesome. They're great. They're amazing venue, amazing showers. They're awesome. It's really, really good. And just live life or until changeover. Just, I don't know, it depends where you are, I guess, like what there is to do.
This day you went and grabbed food, but try and get
got food. Some days we'll cut about on limes or something, like little scooters or whatever, and go and see some stuff if we can. Or there's like pals kicking about in different places. It just depends where you are. But Amsterdam being Amsterdam, you're not short of things to do in your spare time, really.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. Not with a venue being so far. Like it's in the centre of town. Like everything is within a 2-minute walk. What a place.
There's everything. There's like good chill bars around. There's like good like busy bars if you want to go for a bit more of an atmosphere drink. There's a Starbucks around the corner. There's also
Starbucks.
There's also good like coffee shops. There's that one further down. Is it Boca or Boca? No. We didn't go there this day. I went there last time though. That's a great coffee shop.
Yeah, that is great.
There's a noodle place on the corner.
I try and hit that noodle place every time that I am in Amsterdam, except for this time, because obviously we went to Junk Food Bar, but that noodle place is so good.
Yeah.
It's just like fantastic. A regular chain place. I'm sure they're all across Europe, but for some reason theirs is just super, always so good.
What's your normal order, Lace?
Just some regular udon noodles with some sweet and sour. A bunch, whatever vegetables they got fresh that look fresh, I'll have in there. So I have like broccoli in there, because I love the steamed broccoli and some noodles, some peppers, some sweet corn and stuff, just a bunch of vegetables. And it's always got to have the ground up peanuts on the top and the crunchy onions. Then they have to go on the top. Yeah, both of them. And then you get your chopsticks and just mix the whole thing together before just scranning it as quick as you can. Mostly I have to eat as quick as I can from there, because it's usually I'll go there with like an hour before doors. So by the time they've made the food, I've got like 20 minutes and I'm just like inhaling it as quick as I can. But yeah, that place rules.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Every time, got to go there. But you have sweet and sour. I've never tried the sweet and sour one. I always have the coconut curry sauce. Udon noodles.
Yeah, I haven't tried that one.
Shiitake mushrooms. If I'm feeling adventurous, I'll have a bit of shrimp in there, or maybe some chicken. Yeah. The peanuts are a good addition if you're feeling a bit nutty. But again,
always gotta have peanuts.
Off topic. Where were we? Right.
So I basically just said live life until changeover, and then that's start talking about life until changeover.
Yeah, so let's talk about changeover. So we get to the point of the day. Every time I die, just finishing, you hear me shout down the radio, "Changeover!" Let's go from there. What's going through your head at this point of the day?
So James will have done a lovely day sheet, so I know what time everything is supposed to be happening at.
Probably the wrong time.
Supposed to be being the key word.
Failing that, we've got the group. We've got a couple of them, and then we've also got radios. So covered in any
information everywhere.
Yeah. You can't find somebody, just shout them on the radio. Somebody will be able to find them. But we'll probably all congregate in the dressing room for a second and just make sure everybody's got everything they need. I'll get my multi-tool out on several occasions to cut bits of tape and, get people's ears all aligned properly. Yeah. Yada, yada. make sure everybody's cool. Then go and do changeover, which, set the kit all back up, put out set lists, which, worth mentioning, Ash on this run lent us a cool little light, which I forgot to mention in my setup, which we added to the mix. That it's just a little light you can't see from the front of the stage, but lights up Sav's set list so we can see it the whole time when the lights are all dark and stuff like that. So he knows exactly what he's doing. And make sure he's got a towel, get him some waters, plus, anything else that you might want. Then James will ask me to check the kit. I'll check the kit. And then that's kind of me done on stage, and I'll go and check on Sav, make sure that he's all good to go. And we'll just kind of wait side stage till showtime until the boys go on. Yeah,
and then for show, you just kind of like watch over Sav.
So
anything.
I'll be there usually situated like stage right behind the cabs. I'll be sitting there on like a work box or something, just keeping an eye, making sure that nothing falls over and nothing breaks. Which rarely happens. Sav doesn't even like drop sticks or none of that. It's like pretty much just like 100% every show. So, but you got to be ready in case anything does happen.
Yeah, if he needs extra sticks, grab them.
Because, nothing major has really ever happened. But when something has happened, it's usually when I have decided that I'm going to go and help with something else. So now I've got this rule where I just make sure that all my attention is just on Sav constantly. Which on this one was great because, for example, like if Laws is in the crowd and somebody needs to handle the mic cable, make sure he's all right and stuff like that. We had you, Lacey, on stage for a lot of that, and Elle and guys like that. So it was really.
I guess like originally when you first started, we didn't.
So like the first run, it was like me and Wakey, and he's got enough to do there.
You were kind of just looking after when Loz goes down into the pit. You need to kind of grab that mic cable, make sure it's not getting stuck.
So it's sound. It's cool. I'll get a little visit from Enzo, like coming around taking photos. He'll put his camera bag next to me for a little bit or something, and go run around and come pick it back up.
Always nice to see Enzo mid-show.
Yeah, kind of get a little pick me up in the middle of the set.
He usually comes and sees me at front of house and gives me a little cuddle, and we just sing a little song.
Just singing along.
Loo, 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 loo.
Yeah, man. And like actually talking about stuff that happened, I remember the snare, the bottom head of the snare blew out somehow on that show.
Oh shit!
And we had to scramble onto the stage and take the mics off the snare, put the spare snare on, get the old one out of the way, put the mics back on the new one. And it took like a minute, not even that.
Yeah, because I guess you always have the spare snare on your case or close by.
Yeah.
For this eventuality, this is the first time it's happened.
That is the first time that it's happened. Yeah, while I've been working with Sleeps, we've actually never split a head at all. So
touch wood. But you'd usually expect it to be a top one, not bottom one.
Yeah.
But some weird anomaly. But anyway, that got sorted for Brixton the next day. And then worth it, like, so on the spare side of things. So I have that spare snare, and then we've also got a spare set of pedals in case something was to go wrong with the pedals. That's kind of like a major thing. It's a lot of double bass and stuff, like drive shaft pedals, something was to go with it. You kind of just need a full set of new pedals sitting there, just ready to go. And obviously, I've got spare cymbals in case one of them needs changed out. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, you've changed cymbals out mid-show before, haven't you? Like,
I have changed, just because
not at this show, but like in the past, Savile noticed cracked one mid-show or something. So
I think on that occasion it was more just because it wasn't sounding right. We decided to go with a particular cymbal for whatever reason we decided, and then kind of last minute decided that we were just going to swap it out, I think. But we've had to change the configuration sometimes depending on how many cymbals that we brought out on tour with us. And obviously, like, matching crashes that sound nice together and stuff can be, if you've got a limited amount of cymbals on tour with you, if you crack one, kind of limited to what you can do. Yeah. So we kind of experiment with stuff, but Zildjian are really good. We will only ever have to do that for maybe a show by the time they've sent us some new ones or something like that.
Shout out Zildjian for being great at the endorsements.
In fact, I know we're talking about Amsterdam, but we got cymbals delivered to Brixton for the Brixton show.
Yeah,
so that was
shiny
great.
new ones for the big show. But I guess after that, show finishes and you just put it all back in that big box and wheel it into the trailer.
Yeah, it's packed down again, just great. Just like the load-in at Melkweg. Just is what it is.
It's down the ramp into the trailer.
Lots of people on hand to give you a hand.
Yeah.
And then if you can fit it in, grab a shower again.
Yeah.
While you can, in a nice place with nice showers.
And some lovely after-show food at this one as well. Your classic order of pepperoni pizza, I think you had this day.
Yeah. Just any kind of pizza, I will eat it. I love it.
Is it pepperoni? Is it 4 cheese or margarita?
Margarita usually, yeah. But yeah, totally. And beer. Lots of beer.
A couple of beers for after the show.
Yeah. And just chill out until bedtime. Pretty much. Yeah, man.
Cool. So I also want to bring up one more thing about this show, if you're willing to talk about it. And that is that we all sometimes make mistakes. And
I was worried this was going to come up.
So obviously, because we had to strike the kit to make space for Every Time I Die, and everything had to get moved out of the way and then reset back up in a short space of time. You've never done it before. This was the only time at this show that I think you've done this.
It's the only time it will ever happen.
But yeah, there's a one single XLR that goes to Sav's in-ears and it's green cable, and you just forgot to plug that in that day. Missed it on the chaotic changeover. So I think I was rushing you because we were behind a little bit. I think Every Time I Die might have overrun by 5 minutes maybe. So we were a little bit behind, and I was like, Nathan, I need this kick drum now. Because obviously by the time I've got to front of house to check, and then I need to get back up to the dressing room to sort other bits out. So once I'm there, I'm trying to do everything really quick. And Melkweg's a bit of a nightmare to get from the dressing room to front of house. You've got to go like round the front of the venue, get a security guard to open the door for you, down the corridor. So I was just like, Nathan, give me the kick. I need it now. So as soon as you were ready, you were like, okay, kick. And obviously you must have just had your wireless in-ear pack plugged in.
Yeah.
So you could hear everything fine. Normally you'd sit on Sav's seat, unplug your wireless ears and just plug into Sav's mixer to check that it was correct and you were hearing what Sav should hear during the show. But I guess tragically didn't, and the XLR cable wasn't.
My proudest moment at all. But yeah, Sav just looked straight at me as soon as the show started, and he was like, pretty much just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And instantly I was like, oh shit. And I just ran across the stage and plugged it in.
Yeah, because obviously by this point, the intro track is triggered by either you or Liam off stage before the band go on. So Sav doesn't hear anything until he actually sits down on his seat. Like the rest of the guys are on wireless packs, so they'll hear the intro start and the click track. And there's some cues that I put on the backing track there that tell them when to walk on stage. So they all go on. Sav sits down on the kit. And, he plugs his ears into the little jack cable that you mentioned earlier that's gaff taped to the back of his stool from his mixer. He plugs that in, and normally then he'd turn up and he'd hear the click track and Sean's guitar come in for the riff of Antisocial at the start. And then there's a count in, and then he's in to be able to play in time with the backing tracks. And then everyone in the band is in time with the click. But obviously he can't hear the click, so he has to panic, hit the stop button, which is by his foot. So he's still playing along with Sean's riff, because obviously if he stops playing, then everyone in the room knows that something's wrong. So he hits stop on the foot switch by his hi-hat, which cuts the click and the tracks to everyone's ears and to me out front as well. And then they're just playing as they are on their own. So, I mean, the guys are pretty professional about it. They all notice that the click track had gone, and there's nothing too major on the backing tracks. There's a few shakers in the chorus and a few gang vocals. There's only one section of that song, like just before the breakdown, there's like a really affected, processed drum loop, which Sav doesn't play live. If you've seen the guys before and seen that song, it gets to that section and the drum loop comes in. And it's just like a really affected drum that we can't really replicate live. So we just put it on the tracks. And then when the breakdown kicks back in, it's back to the real drums that are in the room. The breakdown kicks in. But obviously, without that on the tracks, Sav had to just play it live, quick thinking from the top of his head, just like, right, I've got to play this now. So he plays a beat. I think I ended up like trying to mimic the effect of it. So I like push loads of reverb on the drums and pull the volume down of them a little bit. And then when the breakdown comes in, turn it back up. But yeah, it's happened a few times with the guys, just with the tracks going down. They just deal with it really well. And then, yeah, they come back in and it's fine. I think the main thing for Sav is that is his monitoring system. So if he can't hear anything, it's really hard for him to like hear what section of the song they're in. It's really hard for him to hear his own playing. He has quite a lot of kick drum and snare in his in-ears to be able to hear that he's playing it good. He does have a wedge next to him, which has a bit of like Sean's guitar and a bit of his kick drum in there. So he would have been fine with that for a little bit. But as you said, you realised what had gone on pretty quick and ran over and got the cable in, which then brought his in-ears back in so he could hear everyone else playing. But at this point, the tracks had been stopped and there's no way to like play them again without restarting the song. You can't play it from where you are. But yeah, you got it back in pretty quick within that song and then it was all ready to go for the next song. And yeah, I just wanted to bring it up just because the point of this podcast is to show people what we do for our jobs and stuff. And even at this level, we still all make mistakes every so often. Like, I've definitely made mistakes before. Like, thinking off the top of my head, there was a time we had a day off in Venice and then we were going to fly to Budapest, I think, this day. So go down to the reception and I asked the guy to book me 2 large minibuses that can fit all the gear in and all the people to go to the airport. So I show him my phone. I'm like, this is our flight details. This is the airport. This is the time our flight leaves. And he goes, cool, yeah, I'll book them and I'll get them to come for this time. So sorted all that out, got everyone to get all their stuff together. We came down to reception at the time that he said he'd booked the taxis for, get all the gear in there, and we set off on the way to the airport. And I don't know what made me check. I was just thinking we'd been in the taxi for like 25 minutes by this point, I think. And I just looked up the map, zoomed in. I was like, I wonder how far away from the airport we are. So I zoomed in and realised we were like 2-3 minutes away from an airport, but it wasn't the airport that our flight was booked from. Like, I remember reading the little like abbreviation of the airport on the ticket and I was like, well, that's not the airport we're going to now. So I turned to the taxi driver and I'm like, what airport are you driving to right now? And he says this one that was the wrong one. I was like, fuck's sake, okay. So he like pulls over after like Lacey was in the other taxi. I ring him and be like, yo, get your driver to pull over. I think they're heading to the wrong airport. The guys told them the wrong place. So that was a nightmare. Like, I should have double checked with the drivers when I got in there and not just assume that the guy behind reception had passed on the correct details. I'm guessing he just said, these guys are going to the airport and they drove to the closest airport, basically. So yeah, we had to like reroute the taxis. Luckily, it was the same kind of direction. It probably only added about 10 minutes onto the journey. But I'm glad I noticed before we got to the airport and got out of the taxis for all the gear, then I had to like get new taxis. At least he understood, he realised what had gone on and we renegotiated the price because it obviously was a little bit further. But yeah, what about you, Lacey? Can you think of any mistakes you've done off the top of your head?
So actually on the tour, well, my first mistake that I've also just made is the card on my mic has actually just corrupted. So you're going to have to use the Zoom audio again.
Classic.
So I know you're going to hate me for that. If anyone is listening that is good with like tech or has got like hooked up with a tech company, can someone sort me out on mic? Because mine's pissing me off. Like, it's a constant battle with this thing, man. Fuck. Yeah, mistakes. On the tour that I toured with While She Sleeps on, I wasn't with the band, I was with Shapes. We played a show in Switzerland. I can't think where the show was, but we played a show in Switzerland. And I said to the local crew, can you take them 2 boxes in and leave the small box? Because it had CDs in it. I didn't need the CDs coming out. So the local crew take these boxes in and I kind of follow in behind. I wasn't paying any attention, which is mistake number 1. Always pay attention, especially to local crew. Anyway, the boxes go in, I do the show, we load the show out, I put my boxes back into the trailer and we leave for the next show. Gets to the next show and I have to restock CDs and I go to the trailer and there is no CDs.
Oh.
And all we had on that tour was like 1 t-shirt and some CDs. It was such a big source of income for the band. And it was the biggest mistake I think I've made in my career. And it's the biggest learning curve I've ever had to have so quickly. Because to send management that email, to go and explain it to the boys at the time was just horrible. Yeah. Horrible thing to do. And it actually took me a year to get the CDs back. I emailed the venue, I emailed the promoter, and there was like redoing the venue and there was loads of issues. Eventually I get an email out of the blue and the promoter was like, we found this box of CDs in the crew room where the local crew hang out. So it turned out that the CDs never made it into the venue, or if they did, they got lost and ended up in the crew room. Or there's so many different what ifs. It cost me a lot of money to get them shipped back. They were put in a box that was about 6 times bigger than it needed to be. I had to pay customs import charges because it was from Switzerland, but I did it because it was totally my fault. And I learned my lesson quick. I'm sure all of us can agree that when things go wrong, you learn your lesson quick.
Yeah.
And I certainly that day, the next day was just awful. It was awful. I remember talking to all of you guys being like, oh, I fucking lost the CDs. This is it. I'm going to get fired. And I'm sure there was several points during that day where Shapes wanted to knock 7 shades out of me because of losing such a massive source of income. But you guys hired me off of that tour, so I can't have done that bad.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So now you've mentioned that.
I've never done it ever again. And I'm always the first one to check the trailer, check what's gone in, and make sure that the trailer is locked because of that exact situation. So, yeah, we've all been there with making mistakes.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is as well, when you make a mistake, like with all 3 of these stories, they are mistakes that you know that you should be checking. But it does show that we are ultimately, even us guys behind the scenes, we're just human. So
I've got another funny one now that I remember. There's only one other time Sav's ever looked at me like that before with that much anger. And it was one of the first shows I ever did. And, so when I put the water out for him, what I'll do is I will open it so that it's not like, got the seal on it or anything like that. It's really, and then I'll only twist them on like just a little bit, at his request, just so that it's like super easy to just pop open straight away as soon as he needs a drink. Like it's like it'll be done in like an instant. So this is one of the first shows I ever did with him, and I hadn't opened his waters before I put them down. So he picked the water up and he chucked it straight at me. He just fucking launched it straight at me, and he's fucking opened that. So yeah. It's the only other time.
While playing a show, his hands are probably sweaty and like.
Well, this is the thing is, and like that's why the towel as well. Like towel's got to be there because, like, I don't know if you've ever had sweaty hands and trying to play drums, but sometimes it's not easy to hold on to the sticks, So yeah. Not really something going wrong per se, but still, it was funny.
I'm having a few flashbacks to something now. Like Shapes played the main stage Hellfest, and it was a massive deal. And the only member of crew that they had was me, and I was doing like everything really, but I had no idea what I was doing. Like I had no idea about like guitars or anything like that. And as Yusef goes to play the first note, his amp just reset itself. just reset itself.
Oh yeah, because he's on a Kemper, right?
Yeah, the Kemper just completely just reset. And like all that was coming up on the screen was resetting. I have no idea what I'm doing at this point. And all I'm thinking is, fuck. And I'm like sweating. The whole band are like, sort it out. Our manager's on the side of the stage. And it was just, I was like screaming at the stage crew to be like, please just get me another amp and a head. And we got it sorted. And we got it turned around within about, it was turned around and sorted, and he was plugged in and playing through a different amp in the space of a song. But that space of that song, so what, 3.5 minutes long, felt like about 6 years. Oh. I haven't sweat that much ever. Like afterwards, I was still on the side, and like
the biggest show that they've ever played as well. Like main stage Hellfest.
Absolutely,
massive.
It was so important. It was so important to them, and they recovered and they played really well, and the crowd went wild. But like, that felt about 6 years. That 3 minutes was like, and thank fuck that the stage crew were on hand and just rapid with helping as well. And I gave them all a massive thank you, and gave them pretty much every beer in our dressing room. I took to the stage and was like, thank you so much, because I had no idea what I was doing. But yeah, like there's a few that are kind of flooding back to me now, and it's very uncomfortable.
I've got one, as you said about leaving the CDs in the venue. Nathan, what did you leave in a dressing room once in Poland?
Yeah, totally. I forgot about that. So this is my first tour I ever did with you guys. It was my first time in Poland, And, one thing at the end of the day that everybody kind of takes responsibility for, I guess, like if you're the last one out of the dressing room, you're going to have a quick check, make sure nobody's kind of left anything. So we get everybody's like personal like cases and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's what we call idiot check. So the last person in the venue just checks to make sure no one's been an idiot and left any of their personal stuff there.
I think in this scenario, we were putting them in the trailer. Usually we put them on the bus, but we didn't have space on this one. So we had them in the trailer too. And it was like a combination of, so my case was like out in the hallway and somebody was in having a shower in like, so in the venue, there's this long corridor and the doors go into the showers and they kind of go directly into the showers. So if people are getting changed and stuff, like the cases are sitting outside the door of the shower in the hallway. Mm-hmm. So my case was sitting there. Somebody was in the shower. So somebody assumed that was their case. And I didn't go by to check for it because I just asked, is there any cases left in the dressing room? Somebody said no. And I was like, cool, I'm just going to hop on the bus because, whatever, I'm not going to go and look for my own case like an idiot. And then, it was the next day and we had a day off.
Yeah.
So it was like, we were all getting ready to go and like do shit. And I think we got an Airbnb.
It was the day we got the Airbnb.
We got a sick Airbnb in where was it? We were in Krakow the next day. So where I left my case was in Warsaw.
Yeah.
And then we went the next day to Krakow, day off. We were going to be going do some like fun stuff, go stay in an Airbnb. And we opened the trailer. My fucking case isn't there. I'm still all like, it wasn't one of those days where I could have taken a shower after the gig. So I was looking forward to like going to this Airbnb, getting a nice shower, putting on some fresh clothes. And it was just like, just like, you've left your case. But luckily I was traveling with Sleeps because they sorted me out with some like merch and stuff to wear in the meantime, which was great. But the venue sent my case to the next venue.
Yeah, I had to ring the guy up and they couldn't get in till the next morning, and they managed to find someone that would drive the case all the way in his car, just
so sick.
A random guy, and he drove it down. And he was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to pay for it." And I was like, "Okay, how much is it gonna be?" Expecting it to be like, don't know, 150 quid, 200 quid. It was like a 4.5 hour drive for this dude, and I think he only wanted like 25 quid in the end.
Mental.
So, I was like, okay. I think I gave him like 50 quid. I was just like, dude, you just drove like 9 hours out of your way.
Yeah, right.
I think I gave him like a CD and a t-shirt as well. So
big up that dude.
Yeah, great dude.
Yeah,
right,
thank you.
Yeah. Let's move on from mistakes. We'll do an entire episode in the future on mistakes if you want. But for now,
we could easily do hours because there's more coming back to me now.
We'll do a series of mistakes after we finish this tour.
We'll do. And cringe situations, because I'm getting a few of them now where I'm like, that shouldn't have happened.
All right, yeah. Again, wildly off topic, but yeah, let's go quick fire round for you, Nave, since that's pretty much it for the Amsterdam show. So I guess I'll kick off with the first question. And I think I might know what the answer is to this one, but what is your favorite venue on this tour? Like favorite backstage area or venue location? Not in particular like the show, just the favorite venue.
Well, it's got to be Melkweg, but like as like a whole package, Melkweg is just like, I love it. It's cool. It's right up my street. I really like it, and this like more for the fact as well that everyone that like works there that I've met so far are really cool.
Yeah, the crew always great there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but some honourable mentions, I guess. Solothurn had a sick backstage area.
Yeah, the little lounge part.
And an AB in
Brussels.
In Brussels, that the stage there is amazing.
Yeah, like, what a venue.
Yeah, so a couple honourable mentions there, but yeah, Melkweg's totally my favourite.
Cool.
So, what are your top 3 bits of equipment for doing your job? So, if you had 3 things that you had to have on you at all times so you could do your job.
Well, I'm going to count this as 1, but 2 drum keys. You gotta have.
Right.
You gotta have 2 of the same decent drum key, and you do get some of them that are kind of like a bit beefier. You want like a smaller, slimline one that like fits on everything, because sometimes you get little memory locky kind of things that some of the
That's the one I've got
bigger keys don't actually fit in for some weird reason. But yeah, I don't know. I got a couple of just stock standard, like couple of quid drum keys. A nice fat packet of beefy microfiber cloths, and I'm not talking like thin ones.
You love microfiber cloths, man.
You
Bro,
do.
because honestly,
your case is full of them.
I'm serious, because like when you're doing that much cymbal cleaning too, like I remember because I had a packet on the first tour and I ended up just giving the whole thing to Wakey after I used one. I was like, well, you can use these for like guitars or whatever if you want, Max. I don't want them. Because when you start to clean the cymbals, if the polish and stuff with like the tarnish starts to go through the cloth, then it's just that's a bad cloth, man. So
that does make sense.
I got these ones, so like it feels bad too, like if you're just like wasting so much, because I don't wash them or anything like that, because it's not really something you want to be washing.
Yeah.
So they all get thrown away. I'm sorry, but that's just what happens. But the ones that I use now, I can get a lot of use out of one cloth, or a couple of cloths there. So yeah, they're really essential, because you can't really count on being in a place where you can buy them either. Some of the venues are in the middle of nowhere. You kind of want to make sure you have all that.
Yeah, I'd like to see you try and translate microfiber cloth to someone.
Well, I went to go get, when we were at AB, I went to go get like some baby wipes, and trying to explain that was really hard. I tried to come up with all sorts of ways to say it, and I said water tissues, I think is what we settled on. And then she directed me right to of course, water tissues. I was like, oh, cool, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, a couple of drum keys, microfiber cloths, but most importantly, you gotta have a decent like multi-tool, like a Gerber or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Barnsley, our video guy, Barnsley's got a sick little one. It's really cool. I want one of them. I can't remember what brand it is, but I've got Gerber, and you get a lot of use out of it. If somebody knows you've got that, get ready for people to be asking you all day to use it. Yeah.
I need to get like the
gladly obliged
off a mic clip.
Yeah, man.
So I don't know where my multi-tool is. It's probably in the bottom of my like spares pellet case in the corner. So I'm just like, well, rather than me try and find mine, Nath, have you got a multi-tool I can borrow?
I don't even buy expensive ones anymore, because I lose them every tour. Yeah. I'll just buy a cheap one now. Like I have like a nice knife, because I use that most. But for multi-tools, I lose them every tour. So I just don't buy nice ones anymore. I just buy like the cheap plastic ones, because I know I'm going to lose it on the second venue anyway. Yeah. So
cool. Right. Last question then, Nath. One luxury item that you like to bring on tour with you. It's not needed for your job, but it's good for you.
Well, I do this, I don't actually know if it annoys anybody, but I do this thing where I do like a Tesco shop before I go on the bus, and I'll have like a bag of stuff in my bunk, or if we've got extra space above my bunk or something like that. But the one thing out of all that stuff has got to be like cans of olives, man. Because if you ever get that point where you're waiting for catering or whatever, and there isn't a Mackey's close by or something to just go quickly grab some food or whatever. Like, I'm really bad for that shit. I'm a horrible diet. But yeah, I'll just grab a can of olives, man. Sit and eat that, and they get me through the day.
No. Wrong answer.
That is a straight red card, mate. Like, I'm so sorry, but that can,
olives, bro.
Nah, man. Olives can get in the bin.
Pimento stuffed specifically. We gotta have those little red peppers in there.
Me and you gotta have a talk on the next show, mate.
On that note, let's end it. There's no Matt Welsh here to steal my catchphrase this week, so everyone say bye.
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 Yes, that was episode 007. Thank you for listening. It's quite a long one, so I'm going to keep this outro pretty short, but yeah. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please share it to your Instagram, share it to your Facebook, share it to your Twitter, whatever other social media sites there is. Share it. Also, big news, we're now on YouTube. So all the episodes have been uploaded. Just search for While She Texts Podcast. And if you really, really, really want to help us out, go find the page, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on all of them, comment on each one of them, tell us what you think. All that sort of stuff helps the algorithm of YouTube realize that this should be shown to other people. So do that, please. It really does help out. It probably takes you 30 seconds to log into your Google account and click that subscribe button. So do it. Why not? It doesn't hurt you, but it helps us. So please help. But yeah, all the podcast episodes will be on there. It's just the audio. There's like a little graphic that Aaron made for us. Just loops around for however long the episode is. So it's not that interesting if you've just listened to the episode here, but go help us out over there anyway. It does mean a lot. And maybe we'll put some other content up on the YouTube, some videos of us doing our jobs or talking through some bits. Don't know, interviews with band members maybe? Ooh, who knows? Yeah, let us know. Go to the YouTube, comment on the other things, tell us what other kinds of things you want to see on that channel. And maybe we'll do them. Depends how lazy we are. Answer is very lazy, so comment loads and maybe we'll listen. Anyways, yep, next week is the Brixton episode, so I've got a lot of work to do this week. See you next week.